if you read down this list of characteristics, in some ways, up until most probably a few years ago, we'd sort of be happy with this. The school was comfortable and happy, strong pastoral system, but there was little culture of change or improvement, questionable work ethic, expectations were set around happy, well-adjusted students, had a well-liked head who was easygoing, genial and supportive, but not challenging, was often absent, and who allowed poor staff to remain in post. Now, I was in one of those schools 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it had a tremendously, this is in Cumbria, in the north of England, in Carlisle, and the school had a really, really good reputation, right, in the locality. But all the data was, it was one of, despite it was in quite a leafy suburb of Carlisle, it had the worst results of virtually any school in the county. And when the new head was asking the parents, they were saying, oh no, this is a great school. I said, well, why is it a great school? And he said, one parent said, well, when the head, the ex-head, Martin, right? When we had a concert, and the kids were sort of performing, tears came into his eyes, right? And that was the sort of the criterion for it being a good school, And in many ways, in many ways, up until a few years ago, we would have accepted that, all right? But that's no longer sufficient for us, it seems to me. And these were the sorts of things that the changes that were introduced. And you can see that in this type of culture, if you try and change that culture, there will be quite a bit of resistance. And we found that it was the use of data, really, that actually sort of really began to sort of crystallize the reasons why we're doing then these types of things. My own view is, it's not either or. We can still have a happy school with a strong focus on personal development, but that's not inimical to actually having high standards as well. But it was causing, the new leadership to be doing those types of things. And sometimes this is really hard. Again, in my last visit here, I was in one school, which is not in the room today, but I was given quite a hard time by some staff when I was advocating more collaborative ways of teaching. And actually, where's John? Is John not here? Is he now? But we left. I was on the visit with John, and John asked me in the car going back. He said, "Do you think leadership is about having a high degree of courage?" I said, "Yes. Facing that culture, the new head would have a lot of courage to actually deal with that, that level of resistance." But my feeling is, if we can link together as principles and share these as common presenting problems, then that helps us, I think, be much more strategic and much more resilient in what we're actually doing. Okay, let's leave this now. So what I try to do is to hold up a mirror to your own experience. I'm not saying they were doing exactly the right things. I'm not saying the things that they were doing you should be emulating. I think the issues that we were dealing with are important ones. But what I'm trying to do is to get you through that exercise to be pointing out the strategies that you were using. And we'll try and do a sort of an analysis of those bits of paper and see if we can come up with a picture capturing the good practice around schools here. But now, in the next sort of phase of the morning, I want to try and take this a little bit more deeply into what we are doing, to try to take the reflection of the first part of the morning in terms of building a strategy for yourselves, or beginning to develop your own strategy. And I've been through those two slides already. But the questions these are quite tough questions. They won't apply to all of you. But if there is a difference between the schools we've been talking about and the examples we've been talking about and your school, is it a matter of consistency? Now, is it a matter of rigorous tracking of progress? Is teaching consistently good? Are you involving students? Do you think your ambitions are as challenging and as high as they can be? Those could be some of the questions that you could be asking yourself. But what I want you to try and do is to, as you ask those questions, I'd like you to respond using these sheets here.